First of all, welcome to ABC Canada. The Association of Bridal Consultants is an organization of wedding professionals from around the globe. Originally, it started in 1955. Can you believe it? In the United States, but it now spans the world with wedding industry members in all specialty areas. My name is Kathy McRae, and I'm the country coordinator for ABC Canada, and I'm excited that all of you are able to join us this evening. We have members from all over. So thank you so much. As I said, I was telling Nicole, she was asking, we have people that signed up from Trinidad. We've got people from the East Coast, the West Coast, and everywhere in between. We've got people from Latin America. And I'm just really excited that you guys have chosen to come and participate. I know you are in for a great evening here with Nicole. I'm going to make one request. And it's up to you, I guess, if you want to do it or not. But just sort of looking at this screen, we have a lot of black screens because people have chosen not to put their picture on. I can tell you from experience, it's easier to, I can see Nicole's face lighting up as soon as she saw a couple people. I personally, I know you've had a long day. I don't care how you look and stuff like this, but it is easier for the speaker if they can see your face. If at all possible, if you are dead set against it, you're still welcome and we'll still be happy you're here. But just a request I've heard in other webinars and stuff, and it does help. Anyways, I'd like to quickly introduce you to Nicole Zillman. I had the pleasure of, I was trying to even think, but it's probably been about at least 8 years or so, if not maybe even more. I actually met Nicole on a fam trip to Sandals, Granada, probably just a few years after it opened, and got to know her there. And we've run into each other at conference many times. And then knowing that and seeing how much her business has grown and how things especially really turned for her with a massive event last year at Turks and Caicos, I thought she was the ideal person to come in and talk tonight about how you can add travel to your business and bring in a different revenue stream. And I know I was on her website and we were talking a bit, and she was even mentioning how she'll tell you a bit of her story, but her weddings, she started out just as a planner, but now destination weddings and romantic travel adds up to 90% of her business. So from one, I'm going to say almost extreme to other. So without further ado, I want to get started and welcome. Please join me in welcoming Nicole. The other people that are here, please note, feel free to put questions in the question box. I'm going to be asking Nicole questions throughout. I've sort of got a list of stuff, but I'll be keeping an eye on it and we'll make sure we get to them before we leave. So thank you very much. And Nicole, we'll turn it over to you. Do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about how you started your business and what it looked like?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually started my business in 2010 when I was a senior at the University of Southern California. So I started my business actually in my dorm room. And one of the first things I did was join ABC, and the Los Angeles chapter was kind of my home. I remember Mary Shusinski was the first one who was like, hey, you need to get insurance. You need to do this. You need to do that. Get your DBA. So I actually filed that, I think it was April 2010 in my dorm room, having gone to, I think it was my first California state meeting for ABC. And, since then, I've graduated from the dorm room, was a planner for, I think I didn't even start selling travel until 2019. So, all those grueling days for about a decade. And then added travel, added destination weddings. And then last year, I was able to achieve a Chairman's Royal Club status from Sandals Resorts, and on my path to Chairman's Elite now.
Very cool. What made you decide to add travel? So you're doing wedding planning. Not like that doesn't take any time at all. What what made you decide to branch into this area?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I come from a pretty diverse background. So I am the minority of my family that lives within the US. I was constantly traveling to Canada, Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean just to see my family. So I was familiar with travel. I didn't know quite how to get started until I went to conference and then did the ABC Sandals training. And that was kind of my foot in the door. That's what kind of gave me the taste of, oh, I can actually book other people's travel. I don't just have to recommend it as a planner. I can actually book it and make some money from it. Also, like I have two toddlers now. It's hard to do a full day of coordination, like hard physically, hard mentally. I have to pay someone to watch my kids in order to do that job. So the majority of the reason why I shifted mostly to destination weddings and travel is to work smarter, not harder, and make more money for the part of myself I give up to do wedding planning.
And you mentioned a little bit that you sort of got your started training through ABC. Um, can you elaborate more on that? Like what kinds of what does that kind of training look like, and maybe some of the other things you do to continue to build your knowledge, just so people have an idea of what it entails.
Sure. Yeah. If you've ever been to conference, there used to be this like 3 hour long sandals training where we went through all of the different resorts. We went through kind of like a marketing class on how to market the resorts to clients, how to book honeymoons, how to book destination weddings. That was kind of my first taste at a conference. I think I went to, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those trainings before I actually got the nerve to be like, hey, have you booked a honeymoon yet? To my clients. And, they were like, no, we actually haven't. And I'm like, oh, well, have you heard of sandals? Yeah, of course we've heard of sandals. Everyone's heard of sandals. Oh, okay. Would you like me to book your honeymoon? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So it was as simple as that. Since then, every year renewing the training, which is online now for us. As long as you can log into the Sandals portal, you can access that training. I've also done a lot of other fam trips and trainings, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Outside of Sandals, you can go to any tourist board. I'm really good friends with the BDMs for the Jamaica Tourist Board, since a lot of sandals are in Jamaica. They can tell a lot about the different areas, especially where different sandals are in, and you can become a specialist for different countries. Like you can become, I think it's Antigua, Bahamas for sure, Jamaica for sure, other different ones. And I just wanted to point out that in the chat, Kathy's put like a resource PDF, and I've linked some resources for all of you that include different trainings you can do.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned one thing, and I think we should elaborate a little bit. We use the term fam trips, and a lot of people recognize that, but the fam stands for familiarization. And do you want to just say exactly maybe what a fam trip is and what kind of costs are involved a bit, and maybe as well tell us what kind of things you do on a fam trip, and is it a vacation?
I mean, well, it can be a vacation or it can be a lot of work. Typically, familiarization trips through Sandals, especially that a lot of ABC members get invited to, are very wedding focused. So they invite you on the fam trip. Usually the cost is 100% covered of the room, and you pay for your flight. Usually up to 3 nights is about how long they are. And there's wedding setups, you do resort tours, you can dine around at all of the resort restaurants. So it gives you a really nice insider look at, the resort that you're doing the fam trip, especially with Sandals. They're usually kind of one. It gives you a lot of insight on how to sell that. Like for example, oh, hey, you really want a room in this building as opposed to this building because you can see the sunset. Something like that. So that's what familiarization trips are. There are fam trips that are sponsored by resorts like Sandals. and other brands. There are ones that are sponsored by countries, like the Jamaican Tourist Board, Love Mexico, Guatemala Romantica. And then there are ones that, for example, the Guatemala Romantica one that I've done, it takes you to not only Antigua, Guatemala, where you see a bunch of hotels there and do a lot of hotel tours, but they'll actually like fly you to different parts of the country to see different things. So they're very cool. Usually you have to meet a minimum to go to the fam trips or be part of an association like ABC that they have a partnership with.
Very cool. And they're usually a really good time. And even the rooms, like I know the ones I've been to for sandals, you go look at probably at least 15 to 20 different room categories. So great content for social media and things that you can share with your clients and stuff. But to see, and even like I know one of our trips there, we were in St. Lucia, and you usually can't see them because they're booked and they're full, but the over the water, the bungalows. And I remember they said, we've got 30 minutes to go see one before the clients or new clients are due. And literally they rushed us all over to go see. And of course, all of us were like gaga over it and filming everything. But to go see one of those in person, to see wedding setups, that makes it so much easier for us to sell to potential clients.
Yeah, like Kathy said, every room you visit, video it, and I started a YouTube channel that has a catalog of rooms that I've toured. So when my clients say, oh, I want to do something at Sandals Royal Bahamian, I'm like, oh, well, this is the video tour of the OJS room category. That's the swim up suite. Or you can look at this one and they can take like a little tour. It also drives things back to your YouTube channels and back to your website. So it drives you traffic in a bunch of different areas.
Okay. So we talked about quickly, like through ABC, it's pretty easy to get your I always have to think of it, your certified sandals specialist training. And they also have a wedding moons certification as well. As Nicole said, pandemic that shall not be named or whatever, we used to go do an intense like 3-hour training at conference. Now they've moved the course online. Nicole, do they have their wedding moons course online as well now?
As far as I know, they don't.
Yeah.
That one still is it's still virtual, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like at a set time.
Yeah, they'll announce it. And maybe what's important, if people are here through ABC and our ABC members, there is an ABC Facebook. Sorry, there's an ABC Sandals Beaches Facebook page. That's a great resource too. So when I ask Nicole the next question, I'll see if I can find the exact web location for that group so that our members could go and ask to request to be part of that. But next one, Nicole, do you use the hotel division as well to get, like, we talk a lot about the sandals and the beaches because it's probably one of the easiest, but do you use the hotels division and stuff through ABC and that to book other travel arrangements and stuff?
Yes. So I do book everything. Like anything that you can find online, I can book. It's an easy sell to do more of the hotel division outside of sandals because, if you have a client who's having a wedding, if literally anyone is coming in from out of town, you can book any of their hotels. So they're going to do it anyway. You might as well offer this service, which doesn't come to a cost to them, but you get some commission on the side. And in regards to, my specialty is in group contracts. So that's usually a higher discount for a more restricted booking agreement for 10 rooms or more. So that takes a little bit more effort, but you get a bigger commission. You can get bigger groups of people in, and sometimes they'll even throw in perks at that hotel where you can do like a rehearsal dinner or something. So it adds a lot of value for the client.
Right. Along that lines, just so people understand when we're using it, we refer to an IATA number, and ABC has an IATA number, and that's how we book through. That's how we book travel. And a lot of travel agencies have an IATA number. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So IATA is the agency basically that issues IATA numbers. It's kind of like an accreditation board for travel agencies and travel agents. And I'll take it a step back that to act as a travel agent, you have to have an IATA number to book through. And that is your agency's IATA number. Now, some people, they go and they start their own agency, which is quite a large enterprise to do, or they start with a host agency. Now, the ABC Sandals program, ABC is acting as our host agent, and we're an agent under ABC. How that works is you use an IATA number to book your client's booking. When that client travels, the commission gets paid to your agency, and then your agency is the one who pays you. Does that make sense? Is there any questions on that? I know that one's a little.
I think what you explained, it worked really well. There is a question: can you book cruises as well? And Nicole, I'll let you take that question.
Of course. So I book through a number of different host agencies personally. Cruises aren't necessarily my forte, although I've booked them for clients. It's kind of like whatever specialization you are. So there are a lot of agents who book cruises, and cruises to me are like a whole different world. It's like Sandals is a whole different world from just booking other types of resorts, especially all-inclusives. And then, like people who do Disney travel, that's their specialty. So you absolutely can book cruises. You just have to have your agency set up with the supplier. And it all kind of works the same way.
Okay. And just so people know, I did while Nicole was speaking, find the link for the ABC Sandals Beaches Resort group and posted it there in the chat as well. So if you're not a member of that yet, and you are an ABC member, you can go to that group page and request to join. If you currently don't have your certified sandals specialist training, they might not let you in. But at the same time, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. So if you are an ABC member and want to do it, your first line is probably just to check with your state manager about, because they have to have ABC Sandals people inside sales has to check with ABC that you're a current registered member, and then they will connect you, and then you're part of that group. And as I said, Nicole mentioned they have online training. I know I took the course. I think I got it done in about 2 hours, and I watched every single video. Nicole said she did it a little bit faster and things like that. So it's there. Now, Vivian's asking to confirm about the IATA number to book cruises. Nicole, is it the same number, or does cruises have a separate number, like a separate thing?
So there's 3 different kinds of numbers. For Sandals, we actually don't use ABC's IATA. We use our federal program code, which is kind of a special thing just for ABC. You can absolutely use your IATA. There's also something called a CLIA number. That's
okay. I've heard of it.
Yeah. Message me if you want to know about that. I won't get into it, but you absolutely can. You just have to make sure that ABC, for example, if you wanted to book a cruise on Norwegian, ABC has to have registered with Norwegian, which is very simple. You just kind of ask David to fill out the agency form if he hasn't yet. Takes about a day, and then you can book.
Okay. Awesome. I think that is there. You mentioned it a little bit. How did you get your first client?
Oh, yeah. So I had always talked about sandals coming from the ABC sandals training. You get super excited and you're like, this resort has this. Do you know there's Rondevals? Do you know that Sandals had the only over the water bungalows in the Caribbean? You don't have to fly to the other side of the world to be in an over the water bungalow. So I literally just kept talking about it. And I didn't have any bookings until 2019. And in 2019, I got my first 3 bookings. One of them was my own personal honeymoon. Another one was a family member who I just chatted, like it was my husband's cousin. I just chatted about sandals. Like I talked her ear off about it. And then she goes, I want to go. I need to go here for my honeymoon. And then another one was my first add-on to a client that I had asked, hey, I've done a day of coordination for your wedding. Included in this package is I'll plan your honeymoon. So you don't even have to really give them a, hey, do you want me to book your honeymoon? Say, as a perk of our day of coordination package, I'm including honeymoon planning services. So they're like, oh, well, why wouldn't I book through you if it's included for free? And they did. And that's how I got my first travel bookings.
Well, the other thing I like that you mentioned really quickly in there is you talked about you booked your own honeymoon through that. And I think that's an important point. If you are traveling, and most of us like to do that, you can book travel. And yes, you're still paying money to go, but that commission is now coming back to you, which I don't know, but helps my bank account. Like when I love traveling, so it's nice to get that back kind of at the end. So definitely an added perk as well. Is this something only wedding planners can do, or can other wedding industry professionals do it as well?
Yeah, I think anyone in the wedding industry can book travel, and you kind of have a leg up on other people because with the wedding industry, people are going to do honeymoons. Eventually they're going to probably want to take anniversary trips, maybe go on baby moons, things like that. So there are a lot of people kind of around this celebration who are going to be celebrating with travel, either as a honeymoon or in the future. Now, I think, for wedding planners, wedding planning booking is its own kind of different field. And I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit. You can either just book their destination wedding travel. You can do that and do the destination wedding planning, or just the destination wedding planning by itself. There's a lot of different things to consider. Where I would say that the distinction would be between, let's say, like planners and other wedding professionals, is you have to play to your strengths. So a lot of destination weddings require destination wedding group contracts, which are kind of this other comprehensive thing. I would like to say I've been baptized in fire with them because of the learning experience. It's a really good payoff, but there's a lot of intricacies that you really need to have a travel industry training on with those group contracts. But like things like elopements, they're very easy for anyone to get into, I would say.
And I think even we've seen some of our most successful members in ABC that do a lot of selling of, I'm going to say, sandals and beaches is where a lot of people get started. But I've definitely seen, I know there's one DJ that we see comes up and collects a lot of checks and stuff, as well as some venue owners. And it's literally that, as you said, it's that connection to people to be able to ask the question and get them at that stage of the planning process. You talked about a little bit you said destination weddings and romantic travel, which is what you call the honeymoons, the anniversaries, the renewal of vows and things like that, and just romantic getaways with the kids. Now constitutes 90% of your business. Was that intentional? And how did that all come about?
Well, my first instinct is to say it was very intentional because, with two toddlers and I don't have a lot of family to help me watch my toddlers, it kind of became a necessity to stop relying so much on day of wedding coordination packages. But I'd also like to say that none of this was like my master business plan. A lot of it was COVID happened, and I just kind of hopped, skipped, and jumped my way to where I needed to be to make my business work. So, I started my business in Beverly Hills in Los Angeles, which is a super saturated market. So at that time, day of wedding coordination packages were 1,500, and there was a lot of competition. So you couldn't really charge, for my experience level, you couldn't really get ahead that way. Over the years, I was able to charge more. But for example, I've done weddings where I have not done any planning. I didn't have to go. And it was a 5-figure commission. Whereas if I had done, how many day of wedding coordination packages I would have had to have done to make that just from working from home at my desk, managing everything. So yes, it was intentional, but I wouldn't say it was like a long-term goal of mine. A lot of that due to COVID for shutting down both industries and then causing like a market boom in travel that I was lucky enough to ride.
And maybe let's also just to highlight a point so people understand, when you are booking, let's say a destination wedding, okay, the couple makes a booking and any of their guests that book, you get a commission on their, I'm going to call it their land stay, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then if they're having their wedding at the resort, you get a commission as well on what they spend on their wedding, correct?
Yes. So every land package, sometimes if you do sell air, you can get some commission on that. And then the wedding itself, and then spa excursions, for sandals, things like private dining, even add-ons like insurance.
Yeah.
You can all get paid for.
So like even like if for example, the bride and her bridesmaids decide to get their hair and makeup done, you technically could get a commission on that. If they decide to have another, like a welcome barbecue on the beach event, you would get a commission on that and what they spend. So it can add up really, really quickly.
Yes, absolutely. And with sandals, I know pretty much everything that you sell as an add-on is commissionable. With some other brands, there are some things that are not commissionable. Some other resorts, for example, don't pay commission on certain excursions and tours. But for sandals and beaches, pretty much every dollar that they spend, you can get something from.
And probably just to add with the tours and stuff, they have to be booked though before your client goes. So if they're gonna do the company Sandals and Beaches uses is called Island Routes and things, they have all their information on their website. But if they want to say do some kind of like zip line adventure, if you are talking to your couples and saying, the trip's gonna go by really, really fast, you may want to book some of this before you go. Anything you book, you get commission on. Okay. Having a romantic celebration on the beach, anything that's booked prior to them leaving, you get that commission on. So that is awesome. Along those lines, how do you price your services for like destination weddings, Nicole? Is there a separate planning fee?
Yes. So my kind of internal motto is I don't do anything that I'm not getting paid for. And I think that, overall as wedding planners, we care so much about our clients, it's easy to slip away from that. But the way that I price my services is there are two separate fields. there's planning the wedding. And keep in mind, this is in pretty much the scope of Sandals and Beaches that I'm going to be explaining this. There's a wedding planning side, and then there's the travel booking side. And I can do just travel, just planning, or both. If I am planning the wedding, I do charge a planning fee. It's on a case-by-case basis. So for an elopement, I may not charge a fee, but usually for my weddings, I have a planning fee starting from about $1,000. So kind of like a discounted planning package that I would have had stateside. To book the travel side, also, again, depending on the number of guests, I charge probably another $1,000 to manage that group. And then if they want me to come on resort and coordinate the wedding and handle the group in person, the bride and groom or whoever is chipping in for that would pay for my flight, my hotel. Usually the hotel can be paid for a credit that is given by the resort. And depending on the situation, I could charge up to maybe $1,500 in travel costs.
Okay. That helps. That explains a lot. What about if you're like, is there ever occasion where you've had to take an assistant with you or anything like that? And how does the client expected to pay for all of that as well? Like,
yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
So for Sandals, because basically anything less than 3 nights is, outside of their minimum and charged as 3 nights, and up to 2 people. If I take one assistant in my room, that's included in what they would have paid for me already. I haven't had a wedding yet where I needed to have extra assistants at Sandals, just because also they have a lot of staff there to help. However, they have paid the flight of my assistant.
And can you give us an idea or an average? Like, I know myself, I'm quite a ways from the Caribbean and Mexico, and Nicole and I were talking about how many connection flights we usually have to take to get down there. Do you go to all of your weddings, or how does that work if you're not going to be there?
Yeah. So I go to most of my weddings, and to be honest, there are some that you could not pay me enough to go to. Like, I will absolutely not. And I have a few stories that maybe we can talk about at the end of why I don't go to some of them. But if I don't physically go with the group, then I just keep very much in touch with the on-resort planning team, which, just to take a step back, in Sandals, when you book, you get a wedding concierge who handles like booking the wedding date and things like that. You move to a wedding planner who helps you book ceremony, reception, basics and extras. And then 2 weeks before their wedding, they shift everything to the on-resort planning team. So I spend most of my time talking to the on-resort planning team that will actually be, usually it ranges from an office about 3 people to 10 people, depending on the size of the Sandals resort. I spend my time talking to them so they can WhatsApp me and say, hey, I'm looking for the mother of the bride. Do you happen to know what room she's in? And I'm still back here in the States being like, oh, she's in room 1107. Have fun,
And do you feel comfortable enough with the staff there to let them look after things for you?
Yes. So it also depends on the resort. Specifically with Sandals and Beaches, I know I've met in person a lot of the wedding planning team members. So there's a great relationship. With other brands, that relationship may be a little bit more hands-off. So you don't have that personal connection. And if you don't go to that wedding, you really have to just prepare your clients for what to expect. No one's really going to be at your beck and call at some other resorts, whereas Sandals, they have a wedding lounge. Your clients can stop by at any time. They're very hands-on with your client.
And even just maybe to also clarify, so you talked that your couple, if you're doing a destination wedding, they're talking to the initial Sandals booking people, then they're going to talk to another second group, and then there's the on-site. If they're talking and planning decor and stuff with, I'm going to say the second group, I know they have a lot of planning tools, there's Zoom meetings. Do you get commission on that? Like, even though they're working with the Sandals team to decide on the flowers and what, the place settings and what linens are being used and stuff, or if they're going to hire a band, do you get a commission on that still?
Yes. And I'm so happy you brought that up, because I wanted to mention that we, as wedding planners or in the wedding industry, wedding pros, have a huge leg up on who is booking a lot of Sandals weddings. A lot of times they're travel agents with no background in the wedding industry. So they literally book the wedding and that's it. They're done. And they also having to do nothing really than just make the phone call to book. And then the planning team takes over from then on. They also make commission on everything. So every centerpiece, every vase, every DJ hour, everything that they add on is definitely commissionable, and you can be as involved or not involved as you like.
And then as well, I know because I've experienced when I've been there, but Sandals also does a lot to, I'm going to say, court the couple to invite them back. So during their stay, they're trying to get them to sign up for another trip. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Do you get a commission on that as well?
Yes. So that's called a loyalty and travel booking. If they book on resort, they get more of a discount, and usually like a free anniversary night on, I think it stays 6 nights or longer. So your 7th night would be free as a promotion for their anniversary. As long as your clients send that email to transfer that back to you, you get commission on that one as well. And that's a great point too, because you want the resort to be showing them a good time. You want the resort to be saying, we can't wait to have you back. Because one of my first large group weddings that happened in December 2020, I would say that was probably 60 so guests at Sandals Ochi. From that one wedding, a few people booked some loyalty and travel, which turned into another group, which turned into a birthday group. And from that one group traveling, I've had 2 destination weddings with over 100 people, in addition to that, and 2 other groups that had more than 5 rooms, just from that one pool.
And I think you talked about something as well in terms of loyalty. Like, there's a loyalty while they're there on property, and very smartly, Sandals, people are in euphoria experience, and that's the best time to get them to buy. But I like what you're talking as well. When people have gone on a trip, they've had that experience to work with you. You've looked after them. As long as they've enjoyed that experience, they're coming back for more, which is kind of weird for wedding professionals because we're not used to repeat customers usually and stuff. But I think that's something important to remember, that if they've had that good time on their honeymoon and you keep in touch with them, whether it's sending reminders about anniversaries. I know Casey mentioned a baby moon and stuff because they've had a new arrival recently. And I think I remember seeing on social media that she got to go on an incredible experience. And thumbs up from Casey that it was there. But I think those kind of things to stay in connection with are a great way to, once again, possibly get repeat service. We talked a little bit about the possibly getting commissions on insurance, and if there's any spa visits, and some of the other activities. Do you get commissions on flights as well?
Yes. So depending on if the flight is commissionable, through sandals, I believe it's something like a 1 to 3% of the flight is commissionable. So it's not just that blanket like 10, 12 that we get on the land package. So it is commissionable. Insurance is commissionable. Spa excursions, if you book airport services like Club Mobe in Jamaica, and I forgot what the name of it is, but in Turks and Caicos as well, that's all commissionable. And then one other thing I forgot to mention is, if you sell a trip to someone and it's their birthday, ask, one of the people, hey, do you want me to send them a cake? Because that cake that's probably like $60 is also commissionable. So a lot of things there. With flights, personally, it really depends on if I have faith in the client to know what to do in a flight change situation, if I would book them bundled with sandals, to be honest, just because I have had some clients that we booked the airfare, it is commissionable to me, but it's a little bit harder when bundling the airfare for them if there's a delay or anything to resolve that, as it's harder than if they booked with the airline directly.
Okay. This is all really fabulous information. Where do you see yourself going in the future with this? Like you talked about how this was not part of your original master plan, and it's something that has evolved as you've learned more, and sometimes just as opportunities have fallen in your lap. But where do you see this going?
Well, so I reached chairman's this year, which like for me was shocking. Like that was so not even on my radar. So I reached chairman's, and then I went to a chairman's retreat with the other chair people, chairman members, and realized that there's a chairman's elite and a chairman's diamond elite. And I met this woman who every year she buys out the entire heart of Curacao or every single rondavel at Royal Caribbean or South Coast. So, having kind of got this taste of it, I've met these people and I'm like, whoa, like you book 500 bookings a year? I want to be like them when I grow up. So that's my new goal. and also, I want to keep going with travel because not only do I get more time with my kids, do I get less physical burden, but because I am successful in what the commissions that I get from travel, I can charge more for my stateside weddings. So I upped for example, I upped my day of minimum to 7,500 for day of coordination. And my full planning package is $10,000 because partially it's, hey, if you want me to come and do this like back breaking work for you, this is what it's going to cost. So being successful on the travel side has given me more confidence to charge on my stateside planning.
That is very helpful. A couple things for people. At the very beginning of the chat, there was a PDF that I typed in. So you may want to make sure that you've grabbed a copy of that if possible. And Nicole has put together some resources for you and things like that to take a look at. I also just threw her website in the chat box as well, if you want to go take a look. One of the things that I'll be honest, I had never thought of, but I absolutely love, and once again, it's just another revenue things, is she's created a destination wedding shop. So through Amazon mostly, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, through Amazon, she's become an affiliate seller. So there are things like a beach hat. There's different types of spray insect repellent. There's all kinds of things that way that, once again, your clients are probably going to be getting this stuff anyways. But if you provide one-stop shopping, that's just one more additional way you could potentially bring in some extra revenue. And you're starting to see the results for this, Nicole?
Yeah, so I've actually, the weirdest way that I've gotten a travel booking client is I made this list, and it's on my website. It's in the PDF. If you want to copy and paste the links for now while you're applying for your own Amazon affiliate program, please feel free. I basically, if you've ever, been on Facebook and it's like 10 travel hacks or something, people love these lists. So with every person that I book, or every group, I send this, hey, here's a shopping list. And like Kathy was saying, it's like, oh, hey, bring a tumbler because they'll fill it up at every swim up bar. Or here's mosquito patches. So you don't have to spray yourself with bug spray. It's just a little sticker that goes on, your clothes or your ankle or whatever you want. I actually had a client get this list sent to them from a friend who was attending a wedding. They said, hey, I saw your list that you put up. I want to go to Sandals. So that's the kind of coolest way that I've gotten a client lately, was just doing this list. And I'll be honest, the commissions aren't high. It's something like 4%, but 4% is better than nothing. And it kind of gets you out there. It's almost like a blog post if you blog. So very easy to do, very easy way to get your name out there as a travel professional.
Okay, and I just threw the PDF list in again because some people who joined afterwards didn't get it. So it should be there. Nicole, first of all, for everyone, I want to be cognizant of time. I know for our East Coasters especially, it's a little bit later in the evening. And we're going to continue a little bit here. If you've got a question, throw it in the chat box and we'll do that. But maybe, Nicole, you mentioned a few interesting stories that you might want to share. So I'll keep my eye on the questions to see if they come in, and why don't you share a few of more of the exciting adventures that you may have had to deal with.
Yeah. So I have had, well, we were talking a little bit about, things that you could never plan for. So I've had a volcano erupt the day before a client's wedding, which stopped all the flights. I've had the Southwest meltdown, which happened twice, I believe. One group, the day of arrivals was when the US decided to shut down all US airspace for like 6 hours. So crazy, like things like that happen. I've also had a lot of clients that, I think I mentioned I didn't go to the wedding because you couldn't pay me enough. I had this one group that I knew they were going to be very challenging. I said, hey, I'll do your travel side. I'm not going to do your wedding planning. You can handle that with the resort. By the way, I still got commission on that wedding. It was a ceremony where they had turmeric paste on them, and they jumped into the Key West pool at Beaches, Turks and Caicos and stained the pool. So I didn't know what it cost them in damages, but they did that. I've had clients where they go to another person's wedding and end up leaving with two other people. So like husband and wife went together and then left with different husbands and wives. I've had, let's see what else. I've had a client threaten a manager before because they booked the most affordable room for themselves and thought because they were a bride and groom, they could get the 4-bedroom luxury villa at Beaches, Turks and Caicos for free, which was probably $40,000 more than the room they booked. They threatened a manager, and he handled it extremely well. But there's a lot of crazy clients out there too.
One thing you talked about, you talked about the volcano going off in St. Vincent and canceling flights and stuff like that. Just to maybe give people an idea, what do you do when that happens? Like are there people you can call? How do you, your client's expecting you to solve the problem? how would you even begin to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a more on the travel professional side, there are some things you have to make very aware for clients. One is once you get to the resort, your main point of contact is the front desk. So, for example, if you go to your room and your fan isn't working, that's not something I, back in the States, could really help you with. Go to the front desk. If for some reason you're not getting anywhere, then give me a call and I'll contact my BDM or see how things can be done there. With things like flights, this is part of the reason why I say, hey, book directly with the airline. I always actually kind of discourage guests from booking through things like Expedia or, Travelocity, because they wholesale those flights and there's less wiggle room to get them to fix it. So in the event of, let's say, the volcano, a lot of people's flights actually left, or they were able to jump on different flights. What my role in that situation was to get their new flight numbers, get their new arrival times, and communicate that to the resort.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not like building a plane for them.
I think Maxine is on the call and she brought up a really good point as well. And I think with everything we've seen happening over the last few weeks between the fires in Greece on, with the island of Rhodes, obviously what's happened in Hawaii. I know we have problems right now in Canada and Kelowna and up in the Northwest Territories. And then, of course, Hurricane Hillary in California and Nevada and things like that. But a lot of people are looking to try and cut costs, but if there's anything we should be doing, it's not just having the travel medical insurance, but investing in cancellation insurance. What happens when your flights get canceled or you miss your connection due to flights being like, there's all these delays. So I think that it's something to help protect yourself would be something that you do. Nicole, do you get your clients to sign anything if they refuse to get insurance?
Yeah, so I actually use a lot of jot forms. And for example, especially with groups, I have a jot form that says, hey, what room are you interested in? What dates are you interested in? Are you interested in travel insurance? And they can say, yes, I am, or no, I'm going to do it on my own. Like I'm going to find my own insurance, or I'm going without insurance. So I have something kind of built into the booking process. I also always ask and always kind of give the blurb, hey, at some point, your room is going to be non-refundable. If something were to happen with the airline where you came a day later, you would have lost a day. Think about what that day cost would be. Is it less than $250 for insurance? And kind of sell it that way. You can also do webinars through the insurance companies like Globally and Allianz. And they give you a lot of really helpful information to help sell that to your clients.
Okay. Daniel has a question here. Is there any residual income available either on the wedding coordination or travel? So maybe I think I've got some of it, but for example, if you're booking travel for either just a single couple or the guests on the wedding, you get, is it about 12%, Nicole, on their travel of what they book?
Yes. So for the Sandals ABC program,
for that, yeah.
Yes, it starts at 12. So it's 12 for a luxury level, 13 for club, and then 14 for butler. Plus, sometimes there's bonuses. Usually for the other things like excursions, spa, etc. That's like and weddings, it's a flat 10%.
Okay. So once again, you're going to get income up. And just a minute. One of the reasons I think this presentation is so important is off one honeymoon. Like if it's a 7-day honeymoon, I usually have my ABC membership fees paid for the year. Like, and some couples want to go for 2 weeks. So it's like, that's a really nice check to get the commission on that. You don't get the commission until after they've traveled. Okay. But as I said, with the destination weddings, then you get commission on, as I said, the wedding itself, whatever they spend, even if they book it with Sandals or Beaches. And then anything, as we said, you sell them ahead of time. So any spa treatments, any island tour, like if you convince them that, you know, you want to do this ahead of time, but you know, the jet ski adventure for two and things like that, and you book it through island routes, then definitely you'll get commission on that.
Everything pre-travel, and that also includes scuba and Club Mobe, which is a really easy sell. If you look at the airport wait times for a client flying into Montego Bay, they can spend up to 3 hours just going through immigration. So the $50 per person that also includes a lounge is a really easy sell.
Yeah, coming into Jamaica. So I've done the 2 hour wait, and Club Mobe is my friend. Is there a certain program for your contracts that you use, Nicole? Like, I think you're just mentioning that Jot forms or something like that, but.
Yes. So I actually put that on the resource page that is linked in the PDF. It has a sample one of my destination wedding planning service contract that includes a lot on the travel side. In that, my process is to have them sign that first. And then if there's a contract for the actual group, I will have them acknowledge that contract as well.
Okay, and I'm just actually going to see if I can open it up here so people can see it, maybe. Oh, there it is. So if you're looking at it, she's got a sample of a destination wedding contract for you there. She's got the Travel Institute information, the connection to Jot form, a connection there for Loom. Nicole mentioned each of the tourist boards. Like, I'll be on, I just got asked to go to one for Antigua, and it was through Sandals that they asked me to go, and I went, and she's starting to say, oh, well, you can come and do fam trips as well. And I'm like, go to Antigua, you know, especially as it's getting colder here, and I had to put on long sleeve shirts and put on socks and stuff here in Canada and stuff, but it's like, I'm ready to go. She's got the Travel Agent Academy and Travel Agent University. So those are in the PDF. So you want to make sure that you get a copy of that and stuff and save it there. Another question from Daniel here. Are there any first class or airline club perks provided with the services that you've mentioned?
Not really with the services like Club Mobe or things like that. Priority Pass is one of the ones that comes to mind. But Club Mobe offers kind of a lounge, which is similar to if you had a first class lounge, especially on departure. And I believe that's something like $35 per person on the way out of Jamaica.
Okay.
But yeah, nothing airline specific.
Okay. I know Maxine's included here as well. She's saying St. Lucia has a really good specialist program. And I think what's really important here is when you think about it, and we think about all the things that a travel agent should know, it can be really overwhelming. There's no question. But at the same time, everybody has to start somewhere. So when Nicole and I were talking, we know that, you know, I've gone through it myself, some of the other people here, the ABC partnership with Sandals and Beaches is a great way to start. And as you start building that knowledge, have a couple of maybe trips go out, or even before the trips come out, you can also then start looking at the Jamaica Tourist Board, the St. Lucia, the Bahamas, the Costa Rica, and you keep learning and adding to that information. Some of the other links that Nicole mentioned, the Travel University and Travel Institute, once again, there's things that you're just always adding to and expanding and learning your knowledge on. And that helps you serve your clients better and things. Nicole, when you are starting, are there people that you can, like I know with sandals, if we didn't know something, we used to always contact like Kim Sardo and now it's Susan Magnan, and Wendy White is also one of our links to help. But do you find that there's people that can walk you through, like you talked about this huge wedding you had at Turks and Caicos, and I can't, how many couples was it that ended up booking?
It was couples and families, but it was about just under 230 people.
Yeah. So if you were a newbie that stumbled into that, that's probably going to raise your stress level. But was there help to walk you through the process and get you there?
Yeah. So within the sandals brand, we have our BDM, who is assigned by the state you're in. We also have a groups BDM for, like if you were doing a group code or a group contract, and they send out cheat sheets. You can call them and set up one-on-ones. Like you mentioned, Wendy White and Susan Mangan. I probably called them once a day for that wedding, just to be like, hi, help. Now that the wedding's gotten so big, there's not a venue space for them. So they actually ended up using the amphitheater, like the big stage. So especially in sandals, there are a lot of people who are willing to talk to you, a lot of BDMs, a lot of support. I would say the most support out of anyone. With other brands and other countries, just do like a Google search for BDMs of. So if you wanted to book something through Charisma Resorts, look on the Charisma website for BDMs. And that's a business development manager.
All right. Okay, being cognizant of the time, first of all, I want to thank you, Nicole, for sharing this knowledge and your expertise. As you said, it's something that you've been building and acquiring for years, and it's starting to really pay off in your business. I think you've given a lot of people a framework to start from and realize that, wait a minute, this might not be so bad and things. If you do need to get connected to your BDM, as I said, I encourage most of you to, for sandals and beaches, I encourage most of you to check with your state manager. We do have some state managers who are a little on the newer side and may not have that yet. So if you're stuck, you're definitely welcome to reach out and contact me. If you are on the ABC Facebook page and just message ABC, I'm the one that gets it, as well as on the Instagram, ABC Associate. If you direct message, it's me. So that's probably the easiest way to find me. Please, the rest of you, join me in thanking Nicole for her time. She's got to head off on another farm trip tomorrow. Where are you going to?
Well, thank you so much, Kathy, for allowing me and inviting me to speak to everyone. But tomorrow I'm headed to Sandals Duns River.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And Nicole, you're okay if people have some questions, they can reach out to you as well.
Yes, absolutely. My email is on that PDF, or if you're on Facebook, just send me a message and we can chat.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. And
thank you.
If you've got questions, please ask us, because we want you to be successful. And sometimes when we can share and help get you across the next little hurdle, it makes it smooth sailing after that. So thank you very much to everyone. It was great to see so many of you turn out from all over. The all overs, you outnumbered our Canadians. I'm very pleased to see that. So thank you so much. I'll have to talk to those Canadian members and tell them to get in gear and things. But anyways, take care and have a fantastic week. Nicole, have a great trip. And thank you again for this tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Look for me on Instagram. I'll be posting if you need pictures from Duns River.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.